Hi everyone, in today's video we'll cover useRef hook, which is extremely important in React. It is one of those hooks which is pretty easy to understand in the beginning. However, you'll find some difficulty in actually finding a use case for it, in the sense that in the beginning you'll probably not be using it so much. However, as you go through, you will definitely encounter some situation where using the useRef hook is extremely important, and for that reason I want to explain and go over some examples. Now, before we start this video, I would really appreciate if you guys can subscribe to my channel and like this video. It will help push my videos to more people and help the channel grow. So what I want to talk about is basically, imagine the following. You have a simple component which includes an input and a button, and all you want to do is you want to be able to click on this button over here, and when you click on this button it will automatically focus on the input so that you can start writing. So I'm going to import I imported useRef hook, and before I start using it, I'll explain to you guys what it does do. So basically this hook over here is the easiest way to access DOM elements. So if you're used to coding vanilla JavaScript, which is JavaScript without React or any other libraries or frameworks, you will notice that many times you do something like document.getElement by ID or getElement by class, and you can actually manually access the information from the DOM elements. However, you can probably realize that you don't do that in React, and the whole point of React is you don't actually need to do that, because React provides something known as a virtual DOM, and the whole point is you shouldn't be manipulating individual elements in the state of your application. However, there will be a situation where you need to manipulate, or at least just add some functionality to certain DOM, and the useRef hook helps out with that. So for example, in this case, the way we are going to manipulate the DOM is we are actually just going to access a DOM element, which is going to be this input, and tell our browser to focus on the input whenever we click on this button. And to do that, we actually just come over here and declare a name for this reference. We can name it something like input ref, and this input ref is going to take the useRef hook, and we need to, in useRef hook, we need to pass a value to it, and because we actually haven't passed any the reference yet, we can put null in the useRef. Now, when you say something like an input ref, which is reference to a certain DOM element, you need to pass a property inside of that element called ref. And inside of this property you can pass the name of the ref that you created. So input ref go over here. Okay. So, and now I can access many pieces of information related to this specific input. I want to show you guys an example. If I come over here and I create an onClick function for this button like this, and this function over here will be passed whenever you click on this button. And imagine that all you want to do is you want to console log the current value of this input. So you can do this directly with a reference by saying something like console log, then accessing the input ref. So how you can do that? So we can come over here and we console log our input ref, and then this is extremely important. When you have a reference, you need to access the current value of that reference. So in our case, when we want to access our input, we want to access the current value to represent the individual elements that we referenced. So we always need to, whenever we are accessing some sort of function or some sort of value inside of our ref, we need to say that dot current. So we type like that, dot current, just like that. And then if we want to access the value, we just say dot value. And if I open now my console and refresh my page, and for example I can type my name here and click this button, you can see you'll see that whenever I click on this button, it should be show whatever currently the value for this input, which would be my name, as you can see here. And the reason why this happens is because we set the ref to represent the input element over here, and we can access through input ref current all the different properties that a DOM element can have. And for an input which is in this case because we reference that input, we can access the property called value, which is in itself includes the actual value written in the input. We can change this, and you will see that it will if I change, for example, like I can put a dummy text and I click this button, you can see the text that we put it in the input, it shows in our console. So it will constantly update you to just show whatever it is in the input value. However, there is much more that you can do with a ref, and one of the examples that I wanted to show was actually being able to focus on the input. So if I actually just have this over here, you can see like when I click on this button, I'm not focused on the input. So what I want is I wanted to be able to click on this button, and when I click on this button, this will automatically be focused on the input. In order to do this, you can very easily do it by just coming over here inside this function and type input ref, then saying dot current, and then there is a function in every input which is just focus. You can just call this function, and this is automatically focus when you click on this button. So if I refresh my page and start clicking on this button, you can see the input is focused. So when I click on the button, this is a focus on the input, and I can now start writing. And one of the most common use cases that I actually found is, actually imagine if you are creating some sort of to-do list application, and you have here an input where you can add some sort of something, right? So I'm just doing to write something like do homework, and you want to click on this on the button, and the functionality you want is you want to be able to clear the input when you click this button. So there is a couple ways of doing this, but the easiest way of doing this is by come over here and type input.current and then type .value and set it to equal an empty string. So if I save the changes, and for example I go on the input and type, for example, I don't know, a dummy text, and click this button, you can see that our text got removed. So if I don't know, repeat it and click this button, you can see that it's going to remove the text that we put it, okay? So in summary, it is very useful to use the useRef hook for many situations, and you'll probably encounter throughout your experience. Just keep in mind that is very useful for whenever you wanted to manipulate the DOM when you wanted to access the DOM. So if you find yourself in a situation where you think that if you were using vanilla JavaScript, you could solve it, it may be an indication that you might want to use the useRef hook. Okay, so if you guys like this video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. I see you guys in the next one.